What's happening, Sip and Chill family? It is your guy, Coach Reg, back for another edition of Sip and Chill with Coach Reg. And I am so excited that you are here with me, be you in our Facebook lounge or our YouTube lounge. Happy you are here. Please be sure to say hello when you come in. Just a quick admin. If you're viewing on Facebook, you can either choose to accept the StreamYard permissions. That way I can see your name. Otherwise, it'll just be Facebook user. And it's okay if it's that, right? Because I'm going to respond as best I can to your questions or comments. Hey there, I can't see your name, but I'm glad you're here. Welcome back to the lounge. Happy you all are here. Hope your week has been great. Your day has been lovely wherever you may be. And you have plans. If not, plans or no plans for the weekend. I hope that that is going to be good for you as well. So yeah, who am I? I'm Coach Reg. I'm a professional relationship coach and the founder of Are You Coached, which is a relationship coaching platform geared toward helping individuals identify, participate, strengthen, and sustain relationships. Our clients are high-achieving professional men and women who desire quality relationships that honor and support their core values. We offer a coaching methodology that encourages discovery of solutions that fosters and promotes personal growth and development. And so, yeah, that's who we are. That's what we do. That's who our clients are. And we've had an opportunity to be featured in some media, major media outlets, actually, featured on in globally syndicated podcasts and radio programs. And you can absolutely get out to our website at areyoucoached.com to learn more and listen to more, I should say, about that, to learn more about us as well. There's a link that I'll actually post for you that is how you can connect with us. So if you have a desire to do that, to learn more about us, you can absolutely follow the link right there to do it and to learn more about Are You Coached. I also want to encourage you, for those of you on YouTube, even in Facebook, because there are many people who are not on Facebook who could absolutely view our content on YouTube. So please share it, share the message, and encourage folks to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And so, yeah, that's a little bit about who we are, what we do, and how you can connect with us. So, yeah, Sip and Chill. As you probably know, for the past few weeks, we've been dealing with and looking more closely at emotional intelligence, starting with emotional intelligence in love and relationships. Then the following week, we had done improving EQ, or emotional intelligence, right? And so now what we're doing last week and this week and the next week, we're going to explore the components of EQ. Now, I'll bring this back up later, but let's do this. Let me take this guy off. And there we go. So yeah, this week we're going to look at one of the components. Well, let me share with you what the components are first, right? So emotional intelligence, EQ, has 4 components. And those components are self-awareness, self-management, relationship management, and social awareness. And our topics over the next, like I said, last week, this week, and next week coming, we'll just deal with the first 3: self-management, relationship management, and self-awareness. I'm sorry, gapped out for a second. So yeah, EQ. So for those of you on for those of you on YouTube, just a bit more context, right? So throughout the week, I ask questions within the Facebook group and people answer, right? And the purpose of me asking questions is to kind of lead into the topic that we're going to discuss during Sip and Chill, which is where we are now, right? So for those of you on Facebook, you can totally get back and get into the group and see the content or see the responses, if you will, in their entirety. I'm not going to share all of them with you in this episode, but I will highlight some. And so one of the questions I'd asked this week: what does self-management mean to you? Okay. And Harold says, taking control of yourself, meaning managing your emotions and desires, practicing self-care such as relaxation, meditation, exercise, and fueling your spirit. Gwen shared, self-management in relationships is to be self-aware of one's emotions so that our thoughts and behaviors are properly applied to a given situation. Hand in hand with maturity, self-management helps us to show love in a way and at a pace that is conducive to both parties' trust rather than just our own selfish. Very thoughtful. Tammy, she said, her thoughts on self-management is to remain true to yourself with regard to expectations set in the relationship, your personal goals, or for the relationship, your personal goals and your level of tolerance. Basically being able to identify when things are unbalanced and manage yourself accordingly. Another question. This was kind of interesting. And I have to say, guys, I'm not sure if you like my questions this week because I wanted them to be, I wanted you to think, right? And I asked one that I knew was going to be kind of difficult, or better yet, it would require a measure of transparency, but I figured I would try it anyway, right? Or ask it anyway, I'm sorry. And that question was, or is, what ways would how has your insecurities impacted your relationship choices? How has your insecurities impacted your relationship choices? We're talking about self-management, but there's a portion of this that's self-awareness, being aware of how you feel, how you show up, being honest with yourself about things that give you pause. It could be jealousy. It could be angst. It could be, fears of abandonment. We don't know what those insecurities may be. Is this person, waiting for the other shoe to drop? This is too good to be true. Whatever saboteurs, and we're going to talk about that later, show up in your head, in your thoughts. And that's those things that drive you. And those are insecurities and they show up. And so how has that affected your relationships? I know it's not sexy to talk about, but can we just be honest? In order to experience the quality connections and relationships you say you want and desire, it requires being honest with yourself about how you feel. And it's not a comfortable exploration, but it is indeed a necessary one if in fact you desire a quality relationship. Now, again, you can't do this alone, right? This requires both people's willingness to participate. Okay. So Dennis said in response to that, looking for outer instead of inner can find both. I think he said you can find both if you truly know what you're seeking. Nothing wrong with an attractive companion, but make sure that's not all she is. And he said, I'm speaking for men. He doesn't know what women look for. Here's the thing, right? That can be a thing where, if you feel having an attractive mate is like, makes you look better, makes you feel better, you feel better about yourself. That's cool. But is that enough? Is that substantive? Who is the person? Because you guys have heard me say, listen, it's all that's fine. The physical attributes and the level of attractiveness that you perceive, that you perceive, because it's in the eye of the beholder and obviously extremely subjective. But what you want to focus on or be more aware of, are the intangibles, the parts you can't see. So physical attributes are awesome, but at the same time, you want to be mindful of your, you want to be mindful of your, of who the person is and how you relate and connect with that person. Okay. And again, understand we're talking about how self-management, we're not talking about managing someone else. We're talking about managing ourselves. And so this is really around self-management and self-awareness. All right. Last question that was posed. In what ways would improved self-management serve you in relationships? Nikki says, improved self-management will keep you grounded in your truth of what you want, expect, and need in a relationship. You'll be bringing forth to another person your authentic self, staying true to who you are with reverence. Let your partner know where you stand on certain values, what's acceptable for you in relationship. And it certainly cuts out the, oh, I didn't know you were like this, or you wanted that mentality. Very cool, Nikki. Very cool. So let's get to it. As I shared, we're looking at the components of EQ in this episode, right? So again, the components of emotional intelligence are self-management, self-awareness, relationship management, and social awareness. And so this sip and chill topic, how does self-management impact relationship success, clearly focuses on the self-management component of EQ. So let's look at that. What is self-management, right? It's your ability to control impulsive feelings and behaviors and manage your emotions in healthy ways. So what do we know about emotions? Emotions are important pieces of information that tell you about yourself and others. Left unchecked, emotions can run high, causing a loss of self-control, and could lead to outcomes that saying I'm sorry, cannot fix, and that you cannot come back from. Conversely, being too excitable, your emotions can cheer you right off of a cliff. So the idea is to learn mastering self-management, where you control your emotions and not allow your emotions to control you. Again, self-management and self-awareness kind of go hand in hand, folks. You know, it's not to say that you are, it's an awareness, right? We have to realize or recognize, you know, what kinds of things that quite frankly upset us, that may trigger us, that may evoke emotions, thoughts, or feelings. And those things are not necessarily tied to that person that evoked, if you will, a situation or a person that provoked those thoughts or feelings or emotions. It may not be there. They may not even been intentional because they probably did not know. This is around your self-awareness and you managing yourself in that moment and recognizing what's going on and what you're feeling and what you're experiencing in that moment so that you can manage yourself better in that space. Does that make sense? Oh, by the way, please type your comments in. Like I said, I'll respond, but I want to make sure we're tracking. I'm going to share the information, but I just want to make sure that you're following me. Okay. And also for those of you on YouTube, be sure to like it and also type your type your comments if you have them, and I'll be sure to respond there as well. For those of you who see this at a different time, because I recognize that some people are going to see this on a delay, or not a delay, but they'll see it later, be it in Facebook or YouTube. But just know that you can totally reach out to us if you have questions or comments. Okay. Hey, Alex, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. Welcome back to the lounge, sir. See you on the YouTube side today. That's awesome. Welcome, welcome. So yeah, learning to self-manage will serve you exponentially in your life, your loves, and relationships. It demonstrates your ability and willingness to accept responsibility for your thoughts, your impulses, and behaviors in relationship. Strengthening your self-awareness muscles and complements the development of your self-management muscle, right? Because I said a moment ago, they kind of go hand in hand, because when you are self-aware, you can better self-manage. But if you're not as self-aware, you may not realize that you need to self-manage, right? Solid self-management suggests that you not only recognize your thoughts and what you're feeling, it also informs you how you will respond when challenged, frustrated, or just flat out angry. I want us to be thoughtful. I don't mean overthink. Let me be very clear. We're not talking about overthink. We're saying, how do I show up in my relationships? Is this, are my reactions helpful or hurtful or harmful, right? The impulses and thoughts, I kind of touched on this before. Saboteurs are your thoughts, those perspectives and perceptions that you have, and they can control your actions and how you move, how you think, what you say, how you respond. And your advocate, when your thoughts are not necessarily positive, your advocate is your sage, your champion that says, hey, listen, let's regroup, let's recalibrate. This isn't all bad. And there's a way to resolve it versus flying off. Because here's the thing. If you're in a relationship or even considering a relationship, please hear me on this. If you're getting to know someone or even in an established relationship, recognize that they may not be, they're not intending to hurt you or harm you emotionally. They probably aren't. So try to remember to not allow your first thought to go to that this was intentional or they meant to do this. Try not to do that, because that begs a different question. If that's the case, if you believe this person is malicious, means you no good, means you harm, would rather harm you emotionally than ensure that your safety, you're emotionally safe as best they can. If you think the opposite, why are you in relationship? If you're getting to know someone, the same question applies. This is why we ask questions. This is why we don't want to attack, accuse, or assume. When someone says or does something that is an affront, an offense that makes us feel away, makes us angry, remember to be smarter than the moment. Remember to gather yourself and your thoughts and understand, okay, what are we saying right now? What am I feeling right now? What's happening right now? So again, in EQ, this is one component that's kind of we're not mixing, but we're addressing two in one with self-management and because there's some self-awareness components to self-management, obviously. But understand, we're talking about these all fall under the umbrella of emotional intelligence, or EQ. It speaks to your awareness, not just of your person and others and their feelings, but your own and how you respond. Okay. Hello, Facebook user. Again, I can't see your name in Facebook unless you accept the permissions, but happy you are here. Welcome back to the lounge. Excited for your presence. This is great. So yeah, I'd like to invite you to consider 5 things as you grow your self-management muscles. All right. And we probably will be out of here quick because it's a nice evening. Not sure where you are in the world, but maybe you want to get out and enjoy this evening and the weekend. And who am I to slow you down? But the cool thing is, those of you who are not here, guess what? That's what replay is for. And you can see it anytime on YouTube. My biggest concern, or my heart's desire, excuse me, my heart's desire is that the content supports you in your relationships. And if you have questions or believe you could benefit from coaching, bit.ly connect to RU. Follow that link that we talked about earlier. So number 1 in strengthening. So for those of you who are note takers, feel free to do so. Okay. So 5 things to consider as you grow your self-management muscles. Number 1, assumptions and perceptions. These are things to be aware of. Okay. Don't allow assumptions and perceptions to guide or dictate your thoughts or actions. Kind of touched on this already. You can and should ask questions of your person and not take anything for granted. You know, I had a conversation literally just yesterday with someone, and I heard her and I said, "Are you kidding me?" And so I hope I can recount this. I hope I heard her correctly. So if I got this wrong, you know, if you're watching us, please have that conversation offline and I'll be sure to correct myself. But the short of it is, the conversation was around, she had a conversation with two men. So guys, I hope you're hearing me on this, because I would love to hear your thoughts on this one too. And I say, guys, I mean men. Fellas, tell me how you feel about this. Ladies, please tell me how you feel about it, because this was very curious to me. So one man said and another man agreed. And these were 2 separate conversations that she had with these people, but she was telling me that they both agreed to, they thought about it the same way. And what she said was that the men said that any woman who's not married, who's in a relationship, if she's dating or whatever, she's still fair game because she doesn't have a ring on it. And so women who are hopeful, who don't have rings, and in relationship with someone, with a man or whomever they date, okay, let's be clear, because who you date is who you love, and who you love, and that's what that is. We're not talking about that. What I'm saying is a man who is dating a woman where there is a commitment, but they're not yet married, is fair game. I didn't do well with the hair. It was hard to hear because I was like, how does that work? Because if you have a commitment, it suggests agreement, right? You had to have a conversation to determine if commitment was the way to go or not. So because a ring is not in play, How is that person fair game if you've given your word to someone and they've given their word to you? It was very interesting to me. And I'm really not sure how that works. I really don't. And I don't think it's fair to say that if you're dating and not yet married, that you're fair game. Now, if who you're dating, whatever agreement the two of you have is what you have. That's what should be honored, not a ring. What should be honored is your word. The ring, if you marry, solidifies to the world, to you and your person. We are one, we're together. I get that. But to say to someone's fair game, unless that's the agreement. Now, here's the thing. This is what I mean by not going by assumptions and perceptions. Say we together, we've been hanging out, we've been doing this. Listen to me, folks. You can do that if you choose. If it's undefined, it could come with some stuff you ain't ready for. Emotions, we're talking about self-management. See, there's culpability on both sides. And so what I'm saying to you is, if there's something, if you want to be clear, you want to be clear on what you're involved in, what you're choosing to participate in, and not asking a question, assuming that you're in something that you're not, or wondering if you are, not quite clear. I hope that you develop the courage to have a conversation and ask some questions. I really do. That may sound trivial to some. It may sound so simplistic, but it's a lot of folks floating and not having conversations. Or better yet, they have conversations. What do we talk about? They have conversations, but those conversations are not undergirded in agreement. And if you don't have an agreement to support your conversation, which you can assure you will have, is more conversations, which could lead to frustration and anger, which means we're not managing well, right? How we doing? Make sure we're following. I think this is cool, but I want to make sure we're good. So just let me know if we're tracking. I can't see thumbs in Facebook. Sorry. I can only see comments. Okay. Number 2, insecurities. Kind of touched on this with the questions this week. And I recognize that it causes a measure of vulnerability, or better yet, transparency, to be honest with yourself. But the reality is insecurities impact how we move, think, and act. When we feel less than, inadequate, or even unworthy, our insecurities are winning and show up as saboteurs. Again, this is where your self-awareness can support strengthening your self-management muscles, learning to lean on your sages, your advocates, your champions, your thoughts, right? That encourage you, that support you in a different way than you may be thinking that's less than. In short, your sages will support you in combating those saboteurs. Number 3, discomfort with difficult conversations. Listen to me. Relationships come prepackaged with difficult conversations. They do. It's only a matter of time before you'll open that package. How you view the package can be a determining factor for establishing the foundations of your relationship. The idea is to lean into the opportunity to learn more about yourself, your person, and the strength of your relationship. We have choices when we're faced with challenges. Like I said, relationships come prepackaged, and how you open that thing can determine how you continue to build. Now, let me do this, folks. For those of you who are in relationship, or better yet, those of you who are considering a relationship, maybe in a new burgeoning or budding friendship that could become a relationship, hear me. These are healthy and worthwhile conversations and discussions to have to establish how we interact. Okay. If you are in an existing relationship and routine and habit has kind of held you back because that's how we've always done it, or we haven't done it at all, or we're just existing. Hear me. If you don't want to just exist, please consider what I'm saying to you. It's a way to have conversations. I promise you it is. That does not tear the other person down, and you don't feel less than, they don't feel less than hearing it. You don't feel less than from what they're sharing with you. if it's coming from a pure and honest place. This is what you seek to establish from the beginning, from the onset. If you are in relationship and that's not in play, guess what? You can create that. You can always turn it around. There's time as long as you both want to do it. And I'll say this. Why would you do any of this? Because you care about quality relationships, having and participating in quality relationships, and you care about your person. And if those two things are untrue, then this doesn't matter. But if it does, I hope you hear me. Here's the thing about difficult conversations, right? They're not fun. They're not comfortable. They're not convenient. But what they are is necessary. Yeah. And because it's necessary and because you care and because you love the person and you care about the relationship, you may need to learn how to have those conversations more successfully. Hear me on this. When you share from an honest place, even if that honesty and that truth is difficult to hear, because it's honest, when the dust settles, what that person's going to likely be left with is respect. At least they told me the truth. The same is true if someone has a difficult conversation for you. Because they were not dishonest, because they weren't malicious, because they weren't trying to hurt you, they were concerned about your emotional well-being. We're talking about self-management, folks. We're talking about self-awareness. And how you show up is the part that you can control, not how someone receives what you have to say or how they participate in relationship with you. You can only control your part. And so what we're talking about is just being aware. Okay? Not just self-aware, but managing yourself along the way, managing emotions and those impulses, because we're human. Things upset us. We may react, but we want to be smarter than the moment as best we can. Allow whatever time that needs to pass to gather yourself so that you can have a conversation from a place of calm and peace, not of anger, frustration. Because what happens is that's likely not going to go well. As best you can, manage it. As best you can. Number 4, be proactive, not reactive. Resist the urge as best you can to handle by acting impetuously and choose to manage your emotions. What do I mean? Don't be hasty. Don't rush to task. Don't rush to judgment. Don't assume. Don't accuse. Don't attack. You may feel those things, but that really is the emotion, has nothing to do with the thing. It's how you feel about the thing that happened. So you realize you got two things in play right now. This is why self-management is so important. This is why self-awareness is so important, because you not only have your emotions that you're feeling in that moment, you also have the situation that evoked those feelings that you want to be aware of. So resist that urge to set it off. Be smarter than the moment. I get that you want to set it off and that you may choose to do that because you're like, you know what, I'm gonna blow it all up because I don't care. What I'm saying to you is, if you do care, don't do that. That's all. Until you have thoroughly assessed the landscape, please don't rush to task. Oh, let's see. Someone says honesty doesn't always happen because the person wants to keep that love interest in their life. They may feel the level of honesty will drive the person away and really want to keep them in their life on their terms, so they don't tell the whole truth. You know what? That is true. But that's the part that you get to pay attention to. That can happen. But here's the thing. When you recognize that someone has intentionally deceived you, then you do have a choice. You can choose to remove yourself. See, because if you choose to stay, absent of holding the person accountability that you're choosing to, absent of choosing to hold the person accountable that you're choosing to remain in relationship with, you get what comes with that. Because it's not like, I get that we can all be tricked, deceived, and fooled, right? But when we recognize that happens, then we have a choice. What I'm saying to you, part of self-management is recognizing that you have choices. You don't have to continue and go along with just because that's what you've been doing. And you're right. That person may be selfish, and that's a very selfish thing to do. I want to keep you around, so I'm going to be dishonest. So I'm not going to tell you the whole thing. Character matters, folks. Integrity matters. And when somebody shows you who they are, you've heard it before, believe them. Believe them. Remember we've talked about in the past, or many times, right? I tell you guys about allowing time to unfold to validate if what was told to you was true. This is where patience comes in. This is where the discipline comes in. This is where the work comes in, because it's difficult. It's hard to do that, especially when you like somebody or think you could. You want to believe what they're saying, but you don't know yet because enough time hasn't passed. You haven't had the benefit of time to validate if what was told you was true. Duplicitous? Interesting. I've not heard that before. Please share, explain that. Not, I know duplicative, but I'm trying to apply it to this. I'm not certain how to do that. So please, if you don't mind explaining that one, that'd be awesome. Or just sharing more about it, I should say. So yeah, you want to take time. So again, we're talking about being proactive and not reactive. Okay. Resisting the urge to handle a situation by acting impetuously and choosing to manage your emotions, thoughts, and feelings until you have accurately assessed the landscape. I'm not pronouncing it right. Okay, no problem. Duplicious. Sorry, I'm not. Okay. Okay, no worries on that. I'm not familiar with it. So, okay. Thank you for that, though. Where are we? Take time to gather yourself, your thoughts and feelings before responding or acting in a way that renders your relationship unsalvageable. Again, if you care about the person, you care about the relationship. I'm just saying self-management suggests that you will be mindful of how you show up, how you present, even when you're angry, mad, and frustrated, how you interact and engage with your person. Lastly, number 5, acceptance. Acceptance can be difficult. It can be, especially when there's hurt. There's things that hurts run deep, disappointments run deeper. Your heart, your emotions, you feel that the persons that you loved didn't love you, didn't care for your heart, didn't support you, they didn't do what they said, right? And so when you recognize or realize that the person that you cared for, may have been in love with, may even be in love with still, that they're not who they presented to be, then you are left with accepting it. Now you have some choices, because I told you, just like in the previous point, you get to choose, but you also get to choose to accept or not. My contention, if you choose to accept, you are acknowledging that I can't fix this, I can't control it. But if you you can move towards the direction of peace. But if you reject it, then you're really saying I'm signing up for misery, because it's not anything that's going to change. Hoping they're going to be better, wishing they're going to be better. There's responsibilities, right? And when you learn that someone isn't who they said, you have a choice. You can accept that and move on, or you can reject it and stay and accept what comes with it. Again, you have choices. Acceptance is often tough and takes time because heightened emotions tend to arrest our attention and distract our progress because we're close to it. Although the road to acceptance can be long, remember the destination is peace, personal peace. Consider this. Choosing to accept what you cannot change is worthy of consideration. Choosing to execute will be rewarding, liberating, and freeing. Yeah, we get choices. We do. It's a worthy consideration. Choosing to accept is a worthy consideration. Choosing to execute, meaning choosing to accept, can be rewarding, liberating, and freeing because you're not carrying it anymore. Right? It's what it is. As much as I hate that, it is what it is. I hate that. It is so true. You accept it. It's not what it may not be what you want, may not be what you hope for, but you recognize this thing is what it is. And I have a choice. I can participate on my terms with this person or not at all. My point is, folks, you get to choose. We're talking about self-management. That means management of yourself. Not a person or a situation. It's how you choose to approach it, participate or not. That's what we're saying. So, any questions, comments, or thoughts? Please type them in the chat. So before we get out of here, if you know you lack the skills to experience healthy relationships and quality connections, go to my calendar, bit.ly Coach Reg session, and schedule your no obligation chemistry session today. In fact, I think I'm going to put that I think I have it here for you. Boom. There you go. You don't even have to wonder what I said. It's right there for you. Bit.ly Coach Reg session. These are the kinds of things. Listen, it's preparatory. Again, if you're not in relationship or if you're in a relationship, you want to be prepared to navigate difficult things, difficult challenges that relationships bring. Like I said, relationships come prepackaged with stuff. They come prepackaged with difficult conversations. And the reality is, we don't always navigate them well because we have habits. And we've done things a certain way. We responded a certain way. We've handled things a certain way. I don't tolerate this. I don't tolerate that. And da. Okay, that's cool. But what is that getting you? Because here's the thing. If you're in a relationship and you're getting the same types of results, the same types of outcomes, and you look over the body of work that's your relationships, it's not those people. It's the person in the mirror. And that's the personal responsibility that we're talking about. And that's the difficult part. That's the work, folks. To be courageous enough to face yourself and say, God, I want to be better. Because here's why. Here's what happens. When you get better, you make better choices. You choose better mates. You're more efficient. Yeah. There's more, but it's benefits to this. It's so many benefits. And I hope that you see that. I hope you recognize that we can be better. It's not easy, but it's a worthwhile endeavor. It's such a worthwhile endeavor. So anyway, listen, that's all I got, folks. That's all I got this week. We'll be back next week for another topic on EQ, and then we're going to move on to something else because I really think we need to start talking about communication more. A lot of folks talk about communication, and communication is so important in relationships. And the problem is, I'm not convinced that we're communicating successfully. What are we communicating about? It's just a catch-all and lacks specificity. So what types of things? I think we're going to do a topic on that at some point. I'm not sure. But yeah, listen, I wish you all a fantastic rest of your evening, weekend, and upcoming week. Take good care. Stay safe. It's your guy, Coach Reg, and I love love. Now, we're going to get out of here with one more thing, and I will see you soon. Take care.